baseball. Yeah, well, when we first
Tell us
started,
about it.
oh, look at this, look at this.
I'm
When we
sorry,
first
I
started,
can't make it stop. I'm trying. Go
when
ahead.
we
Tell us about that.
first, okay, when we first signed with Capitol, we didn't have a hit yet. We wanted to get exposure and build a fan base. So we called every high school and junior high school in Southern California and said, we will do a free act for you, a free assembly for you. And most of the schools use it to promote buying a student body card for the semester. If you bought one, you got to see the four preps free.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So at one point we did
That's all it took.
a concert at Hawthorne High down in the beach area, and Brian Wilson was in the audience. And later on, when a book was written about Brian and his career and his inspirations, the author said, the show the Four Preps presented lent a charge of inspiration to the material Brian was developing. And he sat and listened more and more to the Four Preps, studied their blends, studied the way they stacked their harmony and so forth. And they were definitely a major influence in his formation of the Beach Boys. So I'll take it. That's great. Thank you.
Hey, if that was from Brian, man, you just take it and just walk away proud.
Well, he
And
had to say it because that's a nice way to get away with
I
it.
mean, all we ever got from Brian was I like Indian Lake. So that was pretty good what you got. That was pretty good, yeah.
That's
Now,
crazy.
do you ever feel as a songwriter? Now, as a songwriter, I was also curious, are you more melody, both melody and lyric, or more lyric oriented?
Well, I wrote the melody on a couple of hits that we had early on, 26 Miles and Big Man, both of which have about 4 or 5 chords on the ukulele. But when it
Okay.
got to more complex, well, what would I do about my music is a perfect example. I was not the composer that could put something like that together. So I had a wonderful guy named Harry Middlebrooks who wrote that melody. Harry had a big hit back in the 60s called Spooky. Love sure is crazy with a spooky lift.
We
And I,
know it well.
yeah, okay.
Original Spooky, yeah.
So the song I wrote for Willie Nelson, that was the title song of his double platinum album, was written, the melody was written by David Somerville. So some of the other songs I've written, some of the anthems that have been performed by the Mormon choir and so forth,
So
were
you're
worth
primarily a lyricist then, huh?
I'm sorry?
Primarily a lyricist?
Yeah, I'm nearly, yeah, exactly. As I say, 26 miles is another complicated melody, so that I could fake. And Glenn, with whom I wrote the lyric, cleaned it up a little bit. But no, I'm
What do you
primarily a
mean?
Bruce,
lyricist. I'm a
Bruce,
wordsmith.
Bruce, you actually said the words. And that's that song I wrote for Willie Nelson on his multi-platinum album. I don't
Yeah.
care what the song is. I don't care what you did in it. If you stopped your foot and you got in on the writing credit, if that sentence blows my, this guy's been like everywhere, you know.
Yeah.
Hey, I do have a question. Uh, One of your listings of things you've done, the normal ones are there. I wrote a screenplay but there's this special feature, it says, for all these names, or special project. I didn't know what it meant. It was kind of vague. It said special feature for Johnny Carson, this guy, that guy, that guy. I was wondering what that meant even. I don't even know what that means.
What means?
The heading
What?
said special features. Were those TV shows you were on maybe
Oh
or
yeah. Well,
that you
through
wrote
the course
for? Or,
through the course of our career with the Preps, the original Four Preps group, we did Bob Newhart, and so
Wait,
we had
wait,
an
wait, wait,
access
wait,
to
wait.
him.
You were like on it,
The
like,
Preps,
hey, Bob opens
yeah,
the
the
door.
four.
Suzanne's got her little like baby doll nightgown on, and the four preps are on the other side of the door. What are you
No,
trying to tell me,
that's
man?
Dean Martin, Susan. Dean Martin got the wrong show. But I had access to people like Steve Allen and Bob Newhart. So when we were going to do
wow.
a guest spot, I would call ahead. The Bob Newhart show is a perfect example. And I said, I remember at the time the Batman show was very big. So I said to Bob Newhart's producer, let me write a little special material about Batman, and Bob and the Preps can do it. So that's how I wrote for him. Ozzie Nelson, of course, I was on the show for 4 years, so I'd give him little tidbit ideas and stuff. Johnny Carson, when I became an executive at NBC, obviously I had an in there. So I submitted material that way. I'll take advantage of any opening. You give me a little crack on the door and I'll push it open.
Man, clearly, listen to when he just took about a three career leap through his total career in like one
And Johnny
sentence.
Johnny Carson was in there.
It's
Yeah.
crazy. So do you write and record your own music ever right now at all, ever?
Well, not really. No. There have been three versions of the Four Preps over the years. The first from 54 to 69 with Capitol Records. Then it was a 20-year hiatus. And then I reformed in 89 with Ed Cobb, who was the original Four Prep as well, and Jim Pike of the Letterman and David Somerville from the Diamonds. And in that act, I wrote a lot of specialty material for us. Our forte with the Preps, the original group, were the imitations that we did.
Yeah, the
More
covers.
Money for You and Me. So
Yeah.
when we got this dream team together with Jim Pike and David Somerville and Ed and myself, well, I wrote a bunch of special material for that act. We were together with that act till about, I think, 92. And then in 2005, I reformed the group for one night and did a PBS special, and that resulted in a lot of requests for a new Four Preps group to tour. So in 2009, I formed what was the third version of the Four Preps, and we toured till 2019 when COVID ended it. And for that group, I wrote a lot of special material, a lot of comedy material, so forth. So I'm not performing anymore, although I did write the book, Icons, Idols, and Idiots of Hollywood, my
Yeah.
adventure in First Boy, America's First Boy Band, now available on Amazon. I did write the book when COVID stopped touring. I had to sit down and put my butt in the chair and finish the book I've been writing for 8 years. So I keep active in writing all kinds of stuff.
Well, we have to be impressed that you spent the downtime not staying down because a lot of
Yeah.
people just said, "Oh, I'm forced to take a year off. Thank you, universe. And it's
Yeah, I
not
was a
my
snow day
fault. All
queen.
right, it's not my fault." And you wrote a book. Look at that. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Some people learned to bake, some people wrote books,
Yeah.
others just sat there and went,
That's right.
I read an obituary recently about Norman Lear, who I idolized.
Yeah.
yeah.
Somebody said, "You're 100 years old. Oh, what do you owe that to?" He said, "My life could be summed up in one word: next." He said, "I never go to bed at night
Okay.
without saying, oh, in the morning, I got a list of things I got to do, projects I want to attack." Well, I'm sitting here right now with lists stacked at my desk of projects I want to do, podcasts I want to do. So I just turned 87, but I have a reason to get up every morning other than, going to the club and playing ping pong. So I'm
Sure.
lucky in that I always have had things that have challenged and excited me. Some cases scared the hell out of me until I got them done. So I think I'm thankful for that.
You're
Yeah.
very inspirational, Bruce. It's really, I love hearing you talk. It gets my not as old as some, but feels like it a lot of time, but in gear.
So, hey, I want to know something. Did you, during the book process, post book, promoting it and everything, because I
You mean
often
icons,
wonder about,
idols, yeah.
did you ever do a bookstore signing where they could walk up to you and meet you and sign you, and you'll sign their book? Did you do that?
I've done a couple of them, and I'm scheduled to do many, many more as time passes and the book gains in popularity. But yes, and I did an interesting one a while ago. A very wealthy woman who happens to know me through the Catalina Island Museum. We have a big
Wow.
exhibit in the museum of 26 miles in the lobby of it, and she's on the board of the museum, and we became friends. And she's got a lot of bucks. And so she said, once every 6 months, I and 25 women friends of mine from all over the world fly in, and one of us presents a big luncheon. A different one hosts every time. I'm hosting next month. Would you mind coming and talking to my friends about the book? Well,
Wow.
I said, yeah, but I think it would be a nice idea to have them all read it. So she bought 25 books and sent one
Under their chairs.
to each of her guests. Of course, when they showed up 2 weeks later, having read the book, we had a wonderful time. I mean, they were asking all kinds of
Wow.
interesting questions. They were the right vintage. They were all in their 60s
Yes.
and 70s, so the book was very meaningful to them. And
Nice.
that little one with 25 people, I said, I want to do more of these. I'm a
Yeah.
people fan. I love people. So, yeah, I'll be doing more. Yeah.
Cool.
Wasn't that a special arrangement, though, that your audience read your book, you counted on it, and they did? That just, you're not going to get that every time.
No, I know. I know. It's interesting to talk to interviewers and I can tell within 2 or 3 questions whether or not they've read the book. You'll ask them questions. That's
you
on
mean
page 42. You didn't get it?
yeah, or this is a good one. Hey, is that in your book? Oh my goodness. All right, so
That's
you might
funny, Bob.
now for someone to find out where a book sign because book signings are awesome. I've been to book signings, they're cool. But for where do they go to follow you to find out when that's going to happen and where that is going to happen?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked. Um, Go to my website, Bruce Belland, Belland, Bruce Belland at, no, I keep saying it, brucebelland.com. And in there, there will be a section called My Schedule, on which will be my book signings and personal appearances and even upcoming podcasts.
Podcast.
So
Yes.
brucebelland.com should get it for you.
Well, there you go, everybody. And look it up because and read it. Do your research. I mean, Bruce is on a second time, so 26 miles across the sea is the Catalina song was a million seller way back when they were torn at by their audiences like the Beatles were. I just that
You
is
guys, Bruce
right.
could be our first guest that we have like a mini series. Like, so now we can all go read the book and then we can have him back and we can each take a thing. Thank you, Kat.
Oh, like we're a book club.
Yeah. It'll be
Yeah.
a little shoot off of our cast. It's the book club, Cowsill Book Club with Bruce Belland and the Cowsills.
Listen,
Oh,
we'll find,
interesting.
Chapters. I like it.
Interesting show.
we'll find 21 other people and there'll be 25 squares around Bruce on the
Oh, but it's a
screen.
cool idea. It's a good idea. You
know
just
how to
came up with a
find me.
good idea.
Yeah, anyway.
Yes.
Hey, Bruce. Yeah. Thank you for coming back on. Love to you and your world. Now he's an author, of course. I mean, this guy did everything. What did you do on Broadway? Did you
I
act
know what
on Broadway and sing on Broadway?
Oh, you want to see my scars from Broadway?
Are they
Sure.
mental?
Broadway is the hardest nut in the world to crack. I've written movies, I've written plays, I've written television shows, I've written a book, but every lyricist I know, if you ask them what their secret aspiration was, is to write a Broadway musical. And
Okay.
some of the big guys who wrote standard after standard, like Johnny Mercer, Sammy Kahn, tried to write a musical on Broadway, didn't make it. Well, both of mine flopped as well. But it was fun. It was a great experience. I lived in New York for a while, which is where I met my wife. She sat next to me one night at a play in the Greenwich Village, and then that was 40 years ago, and we're still together. But yeah, that was an aspiration of mine, a Broadway show. I've written themes for movies that tell the story of the movie and stuff. But the special thing about a stage play with music, when that character opens his or her mouth to sing, that song should reveal to you something about the character or the story that moves it forward. And the reason it appealed to me, having been a scriptwriter, reading many hours of television, I like writing for a character. I like writing for a character who's sad or happy or tentative or whatever. And to try and put that characterization into a song lyric is the challenge of writing a good Broadway show. It better move the plot ahead. It better strengthen. You better know things about that character after she or he is through singing that you didn't know when the song began. Maybe one of these days I'll crack it. I'm 87. I'm still young. I can try it.
I have a question for you. What do you think of this as a concept? So there's this family band that were really famous in the 60s. And they have this kind of complicated backstory about their real lives.
Oh,
And they get these big, great hit records, but they have this life going on, but they prevail and they prevail and they prevail. And they have these hits and then they kind of ebb and flow and ebb and flow. And at the end of the day, they actually have a resurgence and they actually are happening kind of ish band at the time. And the way I see it happening, Bruce, is at the end of this incredible Broadway play that you could write. The cool part of the end of it is like, and then so they say that's the end of the story, but it isn't. And the curtains go up and we go into our song off of our new album because we're still here. We end the Broadway play with us. What do you think?
I'll work up my nerve and get plenty of booze set aside and try Broadway again.
Well, dude, I'm just saying this is my other vision that I have. And if somebody wants to pick the ball up and knows what they're doing and run with it, call me. Okay, thanks. All right.
Being a Hollywood writer on Broadway, they're a very elite-minded kind of community on Broadway.
Yeah, I know.
As well they should be. The theater's the hardest work you'll ever do.
Sure.
You get people doing a TV show, they shoot for 8 hours a day and go home to their mansion. Broadway, you got 8 shows a week, baby.
Oh, no,
And
no.
it's 2
You're
hours.
It's
scaring
like
me.
It's like Nashville also. It's quite a tight-knit town, and you got to get in there to be sitting next to the guys to even pitch
Yeah.
what I just said.
Yeah.
And we're going to find them as soon as we get
Well,
off the driveway with Fallon.
I'd like to go on record early acknowledging this is not the production meeting for that musical that Bruce is going to write.
Always
Please,
thinking.
I don't know that we should revolve it around live performances by the family every night. That didn't work with the Rascals. And
No, we work at it's the very end. All we got to do is looking for what you, but we sing one bloody song and go home. Our part in the musical.
I think it's going to take so long that we might be able to, and it might be normal to do this at this point, send in an AI version of us to cover that for us while we stay home.
We're getting way ahead of ourselves. Bruce hasn't even written our hit Broadway musical yet.
All right.
Yeah, let me try it one more time so my publicist will be happy. Well, you know Bob. You know Bob Mervis very well.
We know him. He's ours
we
too.
do.
Yeah.
The book is called, let's say it together, shall we? Icons, Idols, and Idiots of Hollywood.
Icons, Idols, and Idiots. I knew I heard that.
Idiots of Hollywood.
My adventures in America's first boy band. Susan. Okay. Anyhow, it is available on Amazon and wherever books are sold, and I'm a veteran.
Oh, and thank you for your service. Hey, by the way,
Veteran. Wow, dude, you're like WC.
on that title, when I first saw that title, I thought of people that knew Bruce intimately and close enough to know which of those three they were a member of. The idiot, the icon,
Or the other thing.
I said, oh dear,
Hey.
I'm an idiot. Oh my God. I hope he doesn't mention me.
All right, Bruce Belland.
My name.
As you
Yeah,
remember,
right.
as you remember in the book, I cite many things that 4 young, headstrong, ego-driven kids from Hollywood High did that were pretty damn idiotic, including getting on the Ed Sullivan Show and signaling our girlfriend with all kinds of little gestures while we're performing.
Oh, you're coming back. We're going to have a book club. We're starting it with you. I'm going to talk to the boys about it. I got a lot of ideas for the new year.
Turn to chapter 2, please. Okay.
All right, campers,
All right,
I'm off.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, guys. See you,
Thanks,
Cassie.
Bruce.
Thanks,
Bye,
guys.
Bruce.
We're going to have you on soon, buddy. We're going to get you back here.
Yep.
Love it.
Good update.
Thanks a lot, guys.